And welcome back to the rest of the story. For those of you that like watching pretty much the rawest of raw videos that I can film, this is a video for you. Pretty much really didn't plan for it at all. Filmed with my cell phone. That's gonna pretty much be why we got the video quality that we have. And this was kind of a spur of the moment thing. At the end of the day, went out and this guardrail has been in for pretty much as long as I've been alive, and it was laying flat after that last storm. So, because the posts are all pretty rotted out, I knew this was coming. I really wasn't expecting a storm to have to come through and pretty much lay down the law that we are having to rebuild this section of fence also. So, from the looks of it, we're going from this corner that I was just at where that gate is, all the way back behind the skid steer will have to be some sort of new fence. And we have the gates. You can actually see them standing up, or part of them standing up in front of the barn there. They're the red gates. They were actually shipped in from Kentucky. Purchased down in Kentucky. Built super heavy, and there's a combination of a 10, 16, 14. I think we stuck with just 16 footers for the most part, and we had two different size gates to do our gateways. So coming up in some future video, I'm not really sure how much of it I'll actually cover doing, but we are going to be doing some guardrail installs plus getting the gates in. It's getting to the end of August. This upcoming week for me is going to be a kind of a mixed up week because I have, well, basically the whole weekend's busy for me. And then we are actually thinking maybe potentially possibly probably won't end up doing it. Going to go ahead and maybe cut some hay. They are calling for some rain in the next couple days here. I hope we get it. I'm just hoping we don't get just a big downpour, largely because we got the fertilizer down on the plants, and really it's just the nutrients are there, but it's running out of gas in terms of water. If we had a nice little steady, simple rain shower, I mean, I think that's asking for a lot, but the ground is dry. You can see the skid steer. It's all dry dirt that we're mixing up, stirring up, tearing up. Our last cut of hay will actually, I think, add up to quite a bit. That's where I'm at down at the valley. We're probably looking at 2-3 weeks yet. I'm hoping that the weather in September doesn't turn around. I mean, I hate saying that H word, but there's actually a bunch of ground that I wasn't able to cut back in July that if it stays dry like this or continues to stay dry and it opens up more of that ground that's actually been soft for the last couple of years, I'm going to be mowing down quite a bit of that down there. It's going to look pretty clean, I'd have to say. But the Grapple bucket, this is exactly why I wanted a Grapple bucket. It's a hand for the skid steer. And it's even meaner and a lot scarier when you have it on a heavier machine like even the JCB because the lift capacity is so much more. This is, excuse me, a very heavy bucket. It's over, it might not be over 2,000 pounds. It can't be over 2,000 pounds. I think it's right around like 1,200. And the problem is the lift capacity on the Bobcat is, 1,700-1,800 pounds. So that's where it gets really tricky using this bucket on this machine because you definitely feel it hanging off the front of the Bobcat. So you get a bigger machine like the JCB, or if I can go buy that Deere machine that I've been eyeing up, pretty much be able to handle it without even knowing it's hanging off the front of the machine. But it's also a very convenient yard rake, which is kind of what Dad was using it before. Shuffling the dirt around, you pull the rakes, just the teeth, backwards through the ground. It really smooths out the soil, levels it out, digs up any dirt or clumps or sticks or whatever else that you may find, rocks. So this lot was really meant for dairy cattle. I mean, this was a dairy farm at one point in time, but it's just coming to terms with the fact that a lot of our infrastructure is set up for milking cows. And I've said it before, I've said this multiple times, and I'm going to continue to say it. Dairy cows are not in our future. Here's my nephew, keeping his grandma busy. So you got to watch him with those keys. He likes to yank the keys out of the machines. You got to make sure he doesn't take off with them. As far as the dairy goes, no, we aren't getting back into dairy. I'm really not even on the same level with wanting to do bottle calves ever again, but I don't know if you can hear Relina grunting and talking in the background. I have every intention of having bottle calves for my kids. I mean, it's chores, it's responsibility, and it's something that they can do fairly young and grow into. So chores make great kids. Well, they make responsible kids. So this guardrail is all cleaned out. I don't think I have all this left in the video. I did have to torch some of it. I think like 6 bolts just kept spinning, but that's kind of part of the fact that it's been in here for forever. This lot will be for steers or heifers or cows. I haven't decided what I'm all going to do, if I'm just going to bring my steers up or my heifers up or everything up and just use this more or less for calves, or just bring in a few cows next summer. Pretty much confirmed that it's too small for the 20 head of, well, 40 head if you include all the calves, of cattle that I had in here this summer. I mean, I need a hot wire around it, but even if I switch and just do some of the, like just the heifers or just the red cows or just the black cows, need to really make a decision there, largely because the calves, if they're from a red cow but a black bull, or if they're from a black cow but a red bull, you get these kind of tinted calves, and they don't really look that great if you're trying to run them through the sales barn. Might not matter too much for some people, some buyers, but if you can have a consistent group of feeder calves going through the sale barn, it helps your bottom line, because they want an even group. They don't want a mismatched group, because it means mismatched growth, and nobody wants that when it comes to growing cows. So you guys are seeing the grapple bucket really shine. There was a piece of wire sticking up that, if I there it is. There's a piece of woven wire, and you can see, can't see all of the hardware that's in the bucket that I saved. And in the background behind me is a big pile of manure. Why do we not spread all that manure out across the pasture? Well, it's really being wasteful, honestly. It's organic matter, and we have more than enough ground that we can spread that on, that I would much rather have it on the crop ground at this point than actually put it on the pastures. We've done it in the past. It shows. It really does show. We got one of the, well, there's like 4 clearings out of my brother's place in the big pasture at my brother's, and there's a spot where I spread a lot of manure throughout the summer on one of those open pieces, and you could see, like, literally right to where I shut the partake off, the spreader off, where I quit spreading manure. So organic material really helps, but even low pastures, and I think that's something some people can seem to overlook when it comes to grass. People just take grass for granted. Pretty much 98% of the hay that I'm producing is pretty much some form of grass, and people are surprised that I'm spreading fertilizer on it. People are asking why I bother, because everybody thinks that it's grass, it's going to grow regardless. Well, you know, if you want to really utilize the ground that you're raising hay on, especially in this part of the world where we do generally get an adequate amount of rain, especially if you can, it actually turns the other way around where you're worried about getting all your cuttings. But if you fertilize for the plant to continue to grow, you can get more tonnage off the same amount of acres, as opposed to just continually taking hay off, and it eventually gets down to where you're taking one good-ish cutting per year. If the fertility is there, you can get 2 or 3 cuttings. That's why I went through and I put down the fertilizer that I did. Really regret that I didn't get the fertilizer down after first cut like I really wanted to, but the sprayer at least is ready to run now. You can see the very violent shaking with the grapple bucket. It pretty much does whatever you want it to. Really makes the skid steers a whole different machine. I mean, it was worth $2,200. Virnig for the win. Built super duper heavy, and I really wouldn't be bothered to buy another one. I mean, if I wear this one out, I would buy another one. So I do have another material bucket that I bought, so there's that. But I'll probably show that in a future video. Works a lot better than my dad's bucket, but his is also a snow bucket. Long story short, but I'm out of video. With that, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Take it easy. Keep in touch. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.